A message from interim speaker Vahn, born of Renwahl. To the leadership of the Consonant Legion, the time is now. Fight or flight.
Dorado, do you have an order to give?
Yeah. Oh, boy. Can you give orders to specific people?
Absolutely.
Yes. Demonstrably, yes.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, uh-huh. Yeah, man, who is Dorado's, I guess Argyle, like, keep an eye out for more coup bullshit from Azar. If he keeps on that, kill him.
I mean, is Argyle a killer, though?
Argyle is a member of the Legion.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, like at the very least are capable of killing someone, and then a fight or fix might determine whether or not they're actually successful in killing Azar.
Yeah.
Argyle doesn't have to do it herself. It could be
Also
order.
that.
Yeah, down the chain.
Matthew, reaction.
I've got the next scene, so I don't have anything here.
Okay. My reaction is Vahn, I think, very mildly casting his own vote, one of a unanimous set of votes, to elect Sophina as interim speaker, thinking about the situation here in the city. And I'm going to make a prediction that if the Legion doesn't overthrow the Senate, the city will not be safe for the Legion and those they care about.
It's already not very safe. Could we make it like actively harmful?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. If no, the Legion must evacuate the city or suffer incredible losses. Devin, reaction.
I know earlier we said that there was a scene between Azar and Kael that we didn't hear. But I feel like I need to know if Azar has done anything to try to get Kael on his side in all of this. Because I need to put down a preference for yes or no, and I don't know where I'm at.
I think I don't think that you got like. I think that Azar went to Kael, honestly, but not openly. By which I mean he didn't lie to Kael, but he also was not as open with Kael as Kael maybe would have liked him to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that as part of that conversation, it's very possible, what might have come up was that Azar is saying, if this keeps on going down this route, Sophina's going to just keep picking us off, basically.
Yeah. Okay. Because I'm looking at these yes and no options, and both are awful. One side says a lot of civilians are going to die. The other one says the eyes of smoke are going to control the city, which means that a lot of the refugees are going to die. And then also we need to evacuate the city and we'll lose a lot of people.
Right. But we also have, 3 ticks to the end of this crossroad. 4 ticks probably, because I don't know what Kris is going to do. And so there's a long time to potentially change these predictions to no longer be relevant.
Yeah.
You could always... Well, I mean, when Sophina dies, all of my predictions will be crossed out.
No, they'll just become... Somebody else could adopt them, right?
Yeah.
But they don't happen by default.
Yeah. Okay. Then I think my current place is a very frustrated, vote blue no matter what kind of... Where it's like a vote Legion no matter what, even though I'm not happy about it.
Yep. Hell yeah.
So I think I'm going to put my preference in the yes category.
How do we see that? Is Kael talking Azar up through through a grimace?
No way.
Oh boy.
No, I just think they're not actively getting in Azar's way.
That's all it takes.
Less of that Kael kind of sassing Azar. There's less of that.
They'll
There's
sass him to his
digs.
face, but not in front of the soldiers.
Private sassing only.
Kael sitting amongst a crew, and someone tests the waters with a joke about the commander, commander should just take over this place. We'd all be a lot better off. And everyone laughs, and Kael doesn't say anything, but also doesn't laugh.
Yeah.
Perfect. Love that.
And I don't know if I have any update about the kingdom, because I don't know how to say I just keep saying in different words that people are anxious, people are paranoid, people are freaking out. It's kind of just the same shit at this point, right?
Well, sure, but by stating a feeling of preference, you are making a statement of preference.
Yeah.
We can say soldiers think commander should just take over because you have expressed that preference as the touchstone.
Yeah. I think in this case, at least, people are very anti-Sophina, at least amongst the Legion.
Oh, for sure.
Especially because there's been this sort of integration of the refugees that we can take.
And she's openly antagonistic,
exactly.
denouncing the Legion.
Well, yeah. And I mean, her people attacked the estate. They killed Samnail. They killed Lark.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of rank and file legionnaires, even just new ones, that are no, yeah, let's wipe them out.
Also, did it come out? Did the stuff that Nikolaj found out, did that become any sort of knowledge amongst the people?
Which one?
Or is that
what stuff that he found out
about the eyes of smoke, sort of actively sending people to their deaths at the Omniculum?
No, I don't believe that ever became public knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not said shit.
I mean, people already distrust the eyes of smoke, but I think the distrust towards the eyes of smoke has increased a lot.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's my reaction.
Gavin, reaction.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to make my minor character Lady Jasiko instead of Marshall.
Okay.
And she gets the thing on her desk of some of the City Watch tattooing hexed symbols onto people they've already killed. We find out that she has been actively searching for hexed people among the refugees, among at least the people of the Well of Acario.
Right. As a reminder for folks, Lady Jasiko is sort of the leader of the horse warriors that were protecting and escorting the refugees from the Well of Acario.
So it turns out that she's been actively trying to find Hext amongst her people, so that, she can deal with them instead of the police, and, they can deal with it internally. And people who she knew for a fact were not Hexed have turned up dead with Hex tattoos on them. Clearly added after the fact.
Dang. Kris, mark crisis or crossroads?
Ooh, I feel like that's probably crisis.
Oh my god. Are we even going to get to the fucking code?
We may not. Wouldn't that be nice?
Matthew, I believe it's your turn.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so this scene probably is going to end up with Azar sending Waloot to go kill Sophina.
Okay.
Want that, on the table. With that being said, the natural thing to me would then be to have a Waloot Azar scene. But I want to be cognizant of the fact that crisis is up there. And even though I'm probably ticking Crossroads from this scene, I don't know how many more scenes we have left. So, particularly because, Brendan, this is going to be one of your two characters anyway, if we wanted to have a Vahn and Azar scene here, with the sort of understanding that, Waloot, and Azar already talked or will talk after this and that just won't be on screen, I could see that working as well.
I think Vahn would like very much to speak with Azar.
Okay. Let's do that. Let's do that scene then.
Sure. Where does that happen?
Who do we think's... Man. Okay, now I have to make a decision about what decision Azar comes to.
Do you want to talk through that?
Lark's death legitimately put Azar through a crisis of faith. Crisis of faith. A crisis of faith. In that Azar had total confidence in Lark. And then Lark died. And so, his somewhat unbreakable confidence got a chink in it. So I think in the conversation with Dorado, none of that was a front. I think he was being completely honest. I think he legitimately, in that moment, did not know what he was going to do. So maybe, okay, how about this? He still doesn't know. I think that's the most interesting thing. I think the most interesting thing is to have this moment on screen, so to speak. So I think that he goes to Vahn. But he would go to Vahn not as his son, but as if he was a member of the public. So does Vahn still have an office somewhere outside of the estate?
I think there's definitely still stuff intact at the estate that Vahn is using.
Okay. In that case,
I think Vahn has a desk that, the staging of it is set up very much to mirror Azar's always covered in papers desk.
Yeah. What if one wall of his office is missing so that we get overlooking the Legion?
There's a wall missing, and there are a lot of places where you can clearly see there used to be nice stuff around that's all been sold off.
Yeah.
So it's
there's
really kind of bare.
Plywood holding up the hole in the wall because it was load bearing.
Yep.
Right. Plywood, famously sturdy wood, great for load bearing.
I mean, yeah.
You got a better idea?
No. It's a great metaphor for the city as it is. It's just funny. Okay. In that case, I think that the scene starts with a knock at the door. This was not an appointment.
Yeah, no, I think Vahn starts and looks up and starts coughing in the middle of calling for you to come in.
And the door opens, and it's Azar, dressed in his regular dress uniform. Unreadable expression as always.
Commander, come in, please.
Steps forward and sits down. Are you all right?
Oh, thank you. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Is already like moving to pour them both each a glass of water.
Mm-hmm.
Sits back down. How about you? How are you?
I've been better. I think many of us have.
I don't know how to. I don't have sufficient words to express how sorry I am for all that has happened. The people in your charge.
Thank you. I'm sorry that we brought so much destruction on the estate.
Vahn shakes his head. None of that is on the Legion.
Yes, agreed. It's on Sophina's head. And yet, I hear you voted to make her speaker.
At the moment, I thought it's wiser to keep my head on my shoulders. Sort of shrugs helplessly. I would love to have had a different course of action to take, but the situation has tied many of our hands.
The wisdom of Renwahl.
Renwahl knew the wisdom of cooperation and compliance, and I always placed great stock in the idea that being willing to take yourself out of the equation could lead to greater net benefit than otherwise. That ego had no place in a discussion. What I think I've found is that Renwahl had the luxury of living in an age where people with egos had learned that having an ego was the same as painting a target on your back. There's been a long time since chaos like this came to Zel-Sha'el.
If you truly think that, Father, you don't know where to look.
I think many in the Senate, myself included, have spent many years looking out across the skyline and seeing the city, instead of looking down into the streets and the places below where the city truly resides.
She'll destroy the city, if we let her. I know you do not care for the old relics, as Mother did. But you cannot have nothing in your heart for the city and its people. She must be stopped.
I'm not convinced that cutting the head off the snake will stop it from destroying everything as it thrashes about as it dies.
The body of the snake does not know the future.
The day will come.
The day is here.
I think, Commander, I think there is wisdom in what you say. But doing what you propose to do, regardless of what the people of the city may think, the chosen of Haki, God of Justice, will not simply allow such a thing to happen.
Serikali will abide the Senate's decision.
So long as the Senate yet remains, yes.
Then let us ensure that they do. Azar steps out of his father's office. Waloot is on the other side of the door, and he nods to her. Azar, order. Waloot will kill Sophina. Gavin?
I'd like to do one reaction.
Sure.
Before she dies.
Yes, if.
Do we want to do reactions and then deal with the fallout of that order?
Yeah, sure. And we can figure out if it's Crossroads or Crisis or whatever.
Yeah. So, Vahn clears off his desk, finds some fresh sheets, and begins writing. Prediction. If
yes, Vahn, born of Renwahl, will be the functional head of state.
Can you do specific people?
No, I can't. If yes,
a senator will be
a senator, an existing,
a living,
a living senator,
a living extant named senator will be the functional head of state.
And my new character is...
We found a way to hack Kingdom. You just have to get a qualifier.
Is me. I'm senator now.
I mean, we could have like a thing where like they're part of the special election is Jasiko becomes a senator or something.
The state bird is now illegal.
I looked it up in the rulebook, and there's nothing that says that weird alchemists can't be senators.
The old Airbud trick.
Devin, reaction.
We see Lance and some of Lance's boys and folks.
Gender neutral boys.
Yeah. BOIZ.
Nice.
Beating some asses in the guard.
Fantastic.
Finding these people who are doing these tattoos and beating their fucking asses.
Hell yeah, let's go.
Awesome.
This is not going to continue under his watch.
Cool. Gavin, reaction.
Sophina declares martial law.
Oh my god.
It's all above board. They're in the laws in times of severe crisis. There are points where somebody needs to take a tyrannical dictatorial position within a democracy. We all agree with this. I am totally sarcastic right now.
How long after being elected speaker is this? Is this like hours afterwards?
This is like during her speech, probably.
Oh my God.
This is part of the reason for the justification is that no, we need martial law, and the only person that's allowed to declare that is a dictator. So you need to elect me dictator right now.
Yeah, is a speaker, so you need to elect me speaker.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, she declares martial law. She sets up a curfew. What other things do martial laws do? There's probably already been a draft going.
Can she formally expel the refugees? Is that I don't know what's part of martial law.
She probably makes an order for that.
Sure.
But can't have that happen in the first few hours. And I think
this is true.
So this is me becoming a power for half of a reaction.
This sounds like you're becoming a power.
Yeah. So declares martial law, sets up a curfew, and orders that the Legion be folded into the guard.
Sure.
Oh boy.
And has a lot of bureaucratic stuff to try and break up the Legion so that people aren't on squads with other Legionnaires as much.
Oh, martial law spelled the other way.
Yeah.
I was going to make some sort of joke earlier, but I couldn't find it.
So yeah, how does becoming a different role work?
You just declare it and it
You
happens.
just do it. Yeah.
And yeah, you just show how it happens, and then you say the thing, and you do the thing, and you did that.
Yep. You literally got elected.
If your previous role was perspective, your predictions only come true if another perspective decides they were right when the crossroad is resolved. Put a checkbox in front of each one to remind us they are undecided.
Yeah, I'm still a perspective. I can hang on to those.
And I guess I'm making an order and then immediately dying.
Seems like it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the order is curfew / dismantle the Legion.
Sure.
Is someone going to fight or fix that?
I feel like Waloot is...
I mean, I feel like just to be clear, to stick to the rules of the game. If a power says that happens, then it happens. And so I think all I'm looking for here is a fight or fix. I could do it. I could say that like
fight or fix work again.
It's really just like, I'm going to say, no, that's not what happens. Here's an alternate proposal. And then Gavin gets to either say yes, yes, and, or yes, if. And then we keep going. All I want to say is that, like, I think Sophina declares those things, and certain of them they've been ready to do and have the mechanisms to do, like the curfew and such. That starts getting enforced that day. Folding the Legion in is like operating with a hostile body. And so like the fight or fix proposition is, as long as you're still alive 2 turns from now, then it happens.
Yeah. Okay. I agree with that. Okay. The curfew goes into place immediately, and the dismantling of the Legion will take longer than that.
That is, that's exactly it.
And Sophina is going to die during this reaction, basically.
No, Gavin.
So Sophina is going to die during this reaction, basically. So if the dismantling of the Legion wants to happen, some other power is going to have to force it, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
That work for everyone?
Yep.
Kris, reaction.
I mean, I feel like, wonder if it's like Dorado talking to Lady Jasiko about like, are you all sure you want to stay here?
No. Staying here is, we might as well just be digging graves.
Yeah, I think it's Dorado going to talk to Lady Jasiko about like, we should probably figure something out because it doesn't seem good for any of us to stay here now.
They start drawing up plans about that. Okay. Cool.
Where does Waloot find Sophina?
At her desk.
Does Waloot sneak in using the Eyes of Smoke secret tunnels?
Sure.
Waloot's already in the office when Sophina gets there.
Mm-hmm.
She's like leaned up against the bookcase in the shadows behind where her chair is. I don't know how much of a scene we want this to be.
I think we could, because Mercy, we could just leave it at, because Mercies exists, assassins can't do death blows. They have to kill someone dead.
Right.
And just leave that description to the imagination.
I think the one thing I would like to highlight here, though, is the surprise on Sophina's face.
Yeah. Or that, like, Waloot doesn't have to sneak up and do this. Can just, like, have Sophina see her.
Mm-hmm. And that shock at, like, for the first time, maybe, not knowing, not having seen this coming, right? I think that's a really important thing for us to see.
Yeah. I think maybe there's a moment where, like, Sophina opens a drawer or something like that has like her copies of okay. Before I describe this, Kael, what type of plant branch was used for Lark at the funeral? Some kind of cactus or something else prickly.
Mm-hmm.
Is there like a poison? Ooh. Like a belladonna or a nightshade? Nightshade's a belladonna.
Ooh, the adenium, aka the desert rose.
Oh, hell yeah.
It looks sick too. And it's poisonous to humans.
Of course.
Love to hear it.
Yeah. Sophina goes to open a drawer that has copies of prophecies that she's been reviewing. And the prophecies are gone, and there's a desert rose placed there for her to find. Like, she sees that, and her eyes widen, and we see Waloot behind her, waiting, and starts to approach.
Well, because she knew that Lark's plant would be the desert rose.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, she knows exactly what it is and why it's relevant once she sees it. She just didn't know it would be there. And she didn't know Waloot would be there. And I think we cut to black. Mm-hmm. I think there's like a mimic of the shot when the Defenders of Hope brought Lark's cloak to the estate and like threw it into the dust. Only here it's night. Waloot has this like small canvas satchel that is leaking blood.
Jesus.
And she tosses it into the dust as she comes back and just leaves it there. Matthew, tick Crossroads or Crisis.
Oh, I did the Crossroads tick.
3 out of 6 on Crossroads, 5 out of 6 on Crisis.
Yeah, we're almost done.
We're definitely almost something. Okay. Well, I think the next scene is interim speaker Vahn, born of Renwahl, trying to pick up with all of the initiatives that Sophina left for him to deal with. I think he's trying to figure out like what he can scrap and what he can delay.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's so much. I think he keeps the curfew. I think he keeps martial law in place.
Mm-hmm.
I think he tries to go to Sophina's room to see Sophina's office to see if there's, or no, he sends someone to Sophina's office to like gather her records in progress, but the Eyes of Smoke have already like cleaned it out, like it's completely bare. And I think he just sends a note to Azar, or even I think he addresses it to the full Legion staff, in fact, and says, "Send this to each of the Legion leaders. Send this to Azar, to Marshall, to Cravander, to Kael Osier, and to Nikolaj," because I think that's who Vahn would still think of as in charge of the Legion.
Mm-hmm.
And the note simply says, "The time is now, fight or flight." And I think after that, Vahn like steps to the window and looks out and sees the skyline of the city and tries to like goes up on his tiptoes to try and like peer down to try and see the streets where everything is actually happening. And I'll make a prediction. If yes, some in the city will regard the Legion as bad as the Never.
Dang.
Devin, reaction.
So one of the things I wanted to do sort of in response to the martial law was, what is it called? I wanted Kael to lead a big group of people through the city in like a demonstration in support of the refugees.
Like a protest or a march?
Yeah, like a protest march.
Gotcha.
I don't know how that fits in now because that was going to be in direct opposition to Sophina. But then that situation changed.
Well, I mean, Vahn just upheld the curfew, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But did it have any of the like stipulations about like dealing with the refugees in it?
I think regardless of whether it did or not, the people that are enforcing that curfew are enforcing it with that attitude in mind, right?
Yeah.
Like That is the system that Vahn has inherited.
So I also have a question about that, because I mentioned both my characters having a place where they could have done something there. Isn't Lance basically the marshal of the city guard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he could just put a stop to that, couldn't he?
Not as a minor character. He can
try.
He can try.
There's no like.
He can have limited success. Absolutely.
Mhm.
You can absolutely say like there are parts of the city guard that do not operate with the kind of judgment and lack of restraint that the other people do.
Well, I think since Lance was going around like, basically beating people's asses that were like not aligned with him.
Yeah.
That I think this creates basically a small like civil war amongst the guard.
Of course.
Oh boy.
Very good.
You love to hear that.
Yep.
And that's my reaction. And that was kind of a double reaction, but
No,
sorry.
that's very good. I like that a lot. Please think about what the two different factions within the guard each call themselves.
One's called the Boys with a Z.
Oh my God.
Well, the others are the Defenders of Hope.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, are the yeah, maybe.
Like, there isn't a special like police contingent of the Ku Klux Klan. They're just Klan members.
I mean, there is
But I mean, the police and the Proud Boys are two different institutions that have Venn diagram overlap. Absolutely.
Okay.
Right?
Or like even gangs within like the LA Sheriff's Department. Like they got gang names.
Right.
Wait, what? I didn't know about this.
Yeah, there's gangs within the LA Sheriff's Department. I mean, probably other ones, but the LA Sheriff's Department is like the big, very known one. And they have like actual gang names and
Jeez.
like they're gangsters. They do gang shit.
Fucking Christ.
It's a good
But
time.
more than that, I want to know
not.
what Lance's contingent calls themselves.
You don't have to have this immediately.
No, definitely not. Just think about it.
Something with the shield in it, I think.
Uh-huh.
Shield of
To
Despair.
call.
We're turning back around at Danganronpa again, just as a warning.
Yeah. Gavin, reaction. Also, it looks like you've made Marshall your new main character.
Yeah, I made Marshall my new main character. He's a touchstone.
Okay.
Azar's best and perhaps only friend. I know, Matthew, you've been describing Azar as like not crying very specifically. Do you want to have a scene where Marshall makes Azar cry? Like it something like either they beat the shit out of each other and that's an excuse, or
I don't think Azar is that kind of toxic masculinity.
Or they cook onions and that's the excuse. Or
maybe I think it'd be more like they're drinking late. And I don't think it's necessarily like at this point, if Azar was going to cry, it would have been before that conversation with his dad. Like he's solidified now.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to have still like a Azar and Marshall bro moment, we can still totally have that.
Yeah.
Is Marshall like, I guess, the person who Azar trains with?
Sure. Yeah.
Because you mentioned some time ago, like, yeah, Azar's not going to join in the training with like soldiers and rookies and stuff because there's no good end to that.
Yep.
Yeah. So like maybe there's just a scene where it's like they've just finished drills and they're drinking and Marshall puts like an arm around Azar and is like, to the divine right of kings or something stupid like that.
I think they probably have like a shorter like catchphrase they've used throughout the years. It's probably something more like to Draknor or something, right?
Yeah. In Draknor's name. Draknor.
Yeah, there we go. That's it.
It just ends up becoming Draknor after a while.
Just becoming, yeah, it's just like Cheers, basically, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Kris, reaction.
I think it's Dorado getting a visit from Argyle. Argyle having seen the note, taken a peek at the note that was sent to Nikolaj. It's just sort of like it's happening. Something's gonna happen. They're all just being like, fuck, okay. Let's do this.
Is that an order?
Well, okay, so the message was like, the time is now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, it's an order. Listen, we're gonna go kill Azar.
Damn.
Okay, Dorado orders Argyle to kill Azar.
Yeah, let's figure that out. We've been doing this in different orders.
Yep.
Brendan, can you give me a little hint? Are you going to mark crisis here? Let me put it like this.
Yeah.
If you're going to mark crisis, I think that Argyle succeeds. Because I think that's a good ending, and I don't think Azar was going to continue being the commander after this.
I kind of want to fight or fix and say that Marshall's going to have to die too.
Yeah, that's very possible. But then we're suggesting that Argyle could take both of them out, and I'm not sure that's true.
I mean, like, that's the thing. I was gonna ask, but wasn't quite sure how to. Like, can Dorado be part of her own order?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Argyle could have
then
a
it's
squad.
like, I think
Like,
Yeah.
let's be clear.
Yeah, 'cause,
Argyle
like-
is not like Argyle's not even a specialist, much less like an actual Legion officer.
Yeah, and I think or at least my thought with, Dorado like getting up and being like, all right, let's do this, was like, we are going to we are going to go kill Azar now. The Legion is killing Azar.
Yeah.
So I guess the order there is the Legion is killing Azar.
Hell yeah. Let's go. Okay, yeah. Yes, if I think I'm going to propose here then. Yes, if I set this up during the last Crossroad, that a section of the Legion, specifically the people who were like not loyal to Azar, were being prepped to leave with Judet when she leaves, probably in like a day or two from now when this is happening. And I think the yes if is you find out that Azar has everything prepared. We do a parallel to Sophina here. Azar knew his death was coming, and he has everything prepared for the Legion, the whole Legion, to leave with Judet after his death. He really did care about the Legion.
Yeah.
He'll be remembered a hero instead of the fascist he was.
God.
I need to fight or fix also. I need to interject. I think I'm good with all of that, but I need to add a yes but, which is that if people find out that, I don't know, do you think Dorado is going to keep this quiet? Is Dorado going to try and explain, yeah, we did this and we did this for this reason? Here, I'll amend this so you don't have to decide that right away. I think the yes but is, if people find out that Dorado and Dorado's people were responsible for it, then they will turn on them. Because there's people in the Legion that love Azar.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to figure. I mean, like, I guess I accept that. I don't know if Dorado is like, because I guess she would have to be quiet about it before doing it, because otherwise those people who are loyal to Azar would probably try to stop her.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think there's a world in which Dorado does this, and then the next morning someone says, "Fucking Defenders of Hope. They got the commander. They got the marshal."
So I think we're hitting crisis, and I think this is going to be the end of Kingdom.
I think you're right.
Remember that, the two legions merged, and we don't even know, like, we represented when we added those starving rookies to the Legion. We didn't represent when we added the other second half of the Legion. We talked about it being smaller, but like they probably have other specialists besides just their leadership. So I think these are all details we can figure out. Maybe it turns out that only the people who weren't loyal to Azar leave, right?
Sure.
But I think these are things that we can work out. What I'm really interested in is this scene of Dorado and crew killing Azar, and Marshall sounds like.
Yeah. Here, let's set it up like this. Where do you think that training / toast scene happened?
I think that was Azar's tent, right, Gavin?
Yeah, either the Czar's tent or maybe there's like a private gymnasium that survived the estate attack.
What if it's What if it's on a roof somewhere?
That's fun.
Because that would
that's where Argyle often lurked.
What places would have a good roof? Bulls and Crows Tavern?
Yeah, that's fun.
I think they'd want it to be remote enough that like people couldn't hear if they do wind up doing sparring drills or something like that, that there's not a sound of like, oh, I hear swords clashing. I wonder what that is.
Yeah.
There's the plaza.
Is there any part of the walls?
What? The wall?
What did you say, Chris?
Oh, I was wondering if there's any part of the walls, because like city wall probably varies in thickness, right? You'd hear weird fighting noises coming from the wall anyway.
And Azar could tell Lance, hey, make sure this area is not patrolled tonight.
Right. And that, that's perfect. Because then that bites him back.
Boy.
Totally.
Love that.
And Marshall and Azar are drunk, tired, sweaty, worn out. They probably could have fought them off better.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a fair fight in any sense.
Nope.
Dorado, do you get the drop on them, or do you like confront them openly?
No, I think Dorado walks up openly and is just like, space for a third sword.
Can we give Dorado like a cool dueling scar or something? Like she
absolutely.
Gets like cut on the face, on the cheek here.
Yeah.
I think in that whole scene with Azar and Marshall, Azar was openly smiling to the extent that like we've never seen before. And when Dorado walks out of the shadows, his mouth closes. It's not like an open mouth, teeth showing smile anymore. But there's still a little bit, upturned smile at the edge there. And then I think he roars and falls upon Dorado's squad. He's not a big man. He's like 6 feet, right? But he has a like horn wingspan of like 6 feet. Mm-hmm. And I think we see that being used here. Like, how do you fight when you basically have 2 extra swords on your head?
Yeah.
Does Marshall go down first because he takes a hit that was meant for Azar?
No, I think it's like he stands up, but he like leans, shuffles over to the other wall. Can't even stand up straight.
Jeez.
Part of it is being drunk, and part of it is being like, I just finished a workout. My body is rubber.
Sure.
There was I did a fencing tournament once. I was offered the chance to take a 10-minute break, and I thought I was fine, so I didn't take it. And I went into a fight, and my arm would not go up all the way. Mm-hmm. Just straight up. It's such a strange experience. Like, it's literally, you can feel your brain screaming for your arm to move, and it just not reacting.
Yeah.
And they got him.
Who's it that lands the blow? Is it Argyle? Is it Dorado? Is it just some nobody?
It's probably Argyle. It's just some nobody. It doesn't matter who does it.
Just could be someone, yeah.
The camera's on Marshall here.
I think it's even like a stab to the gut and then 2 more from like 2 completely different other people.
And someone just like checking his pulse as it goes out. Okay. And then moving on.
Azar, how do you go down?
There's like, Azar getting hit once in the back. But Azar has the thing, instead of the thing that Marshall has, where that right after a workout, he actually has like more energy and he won't feel it until later. So he's just like on adrenaline now. And so there's a couple different stabs have hit him at this point, all in like big fatty areas. So he's not just dead from one hit, but he's not looking good. Maybe he might even have just like, a spear sticking out of him. Maybe a chunk of his horn has been taken out.
I don't think Dorado is the one that gets like the last hit, but I think she does like break one of his horns so that he doesn't have that like keeping people away anymore, and someone can get in on that
That's
side.
how she gets the dueling scars. The horn breaks off and scratches her face.
Yes.
Yep.
Good. Yes.
Then I think directly after that, Azar locks swords with Dorado. And if we were playing Firebrands, this would be,
meeting sword to sword.
My mouth is close to your ear, right? And Azar says, make it look good. Keep them safe. And then there's a stab in his back. And he gasps, and all the strength leaves him. And he falls backwards. And then there's one more. And then he's dead.
I am going to mark crisis. When all the crisis boxes are checked, we reach a critical moment and see if the kingdom survives or falls. Our characters share in the kingdom's fate. If it falls, we fall with it. Step 1, show the crisis. Decide together if this is going to be the end of your game so that you know if you are wrapping up your story. Sounds like it is.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Each player gives a short description of a specific incident to show how the crisis is unfolding and threatening the kingdom.
There's a bunch of Mitzrayim gathering together and rolling up into these canvas sheets, just naked blades, like no hilt, nothing, and just like 100 of them marching up the wall to the northeast side, just carrying over their shoulder. Maybe like foiling Waloot carrying the second song up the wall.
Kris.
Might be the never doing some shit, but all I can think of is just more deer getting launched into the city.
I think that's a very...
I have a never thing.
Devin, do you want to go ahead and go?
We've described before, we haven't talked about it in a while, but like back in the day, Aoife was seeing lots of like giant like figures that were just like huge ghosts of the landscape.
Oh no.
One of those starts to become visible like right outside the city because there's like basically like a massive murmuration of like birds that are starting to take the shape of it.
Oh, like magnet polarity.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
It's fucking terrifying. Oh, I just remembered that like maybe one of the stars lands in Navarra.
Yes, absolutely.
Great. Like right in that plaza.
Matthew.
The explosion that took out Ygraph was also very close to the little room that Serikali has, because that's basically right behind there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we get Serikali picking through the rubble and taking what might have been the leg of a chair, these sort of like thick woven branches, and picking it up and slipping it into a satchel, and then drawing her flaming sword and walking towards the wall.
I think we see Defenders of Hope and city guards aligned with them running roughshod through the refugee encampments inside the city. Step 2, what do? Take turns describing what your main character does or doesn't do in the crisis. You can try and save the kingdom, destroy it, or save your own skins and flee. Say where you are and what you do. If you want to save yourself, show your character giving up on the kingdom and fleeing. Abandoning the kingdom always weakens it. You automatically vote for the kingdom to fall in the next step. Devin, do you want to go first?
Fuck.
You don't have to. You can say no.
I have a scene in mind, but I'm scared to execute it just because, it's heavy.
Those are the best scenes. Do it. I believe in you.
And I just we're piling the corpses here, but
corpse.
I think
corpse.
I think Kael dies defending refugees. I think Kael gets Jesus here.
the real Geralt of Rivia we got over here.
What happens? What does Kael just get like overwhelmed by the advancing forces, or?
Well, I think Kael is like. I'm imagining for some reason like a statue that got toppled and there just being like the platform left over,
Mm-hmm.
and Kael sort of standing on top of it, like sort of like orating and like leading this big protest march.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Defenders of Hope start to just like fight through the crowd, and they get to them and pull them down and drag them into the crowd, and I don't think we see what happens.
Damn. Gavin, do you want to describe Lady Jasiko doing something here?
Yeah, she's standing outside, pacing around a bunch of carts that are being loaded with people and supplies.
Kris, do you have a Dorado thing or a Nikolaj thing?
Dorado, I think. It's these are the plans that Dorado and Lady Jasiko had been drafting up. Which is like, if shit breaks bad, here's how we leave. And shit is breaking bad, and so here is them leaving. And so it's like Dorado being like, okay, these carts are full, these people are here. We have, the carts are like full of refugees and supplies, and then there's like Legion squads like positioned around them as they start to move.
I think we see Vahn in the ruins of the estate, weeping over the corpse of his son. Matthew, do you have... I guess you described something for Serikali before. Do you have a follow-up there?
I do.
Yeah.
Serikali requested that Dorado come see her before she left.
Mm-hmm.
Does Dorado put in any effort to do that?
Jeez. Yeah. Tells Lady Jasiko, it's like, okay, these things are here. I will meet up with you at this point, right? Like we have an established route. I will meet up with you here, and then is just gone.
Then I think this is a direct follow-up of you catch Serikali on her way to the walls. And Serikali says, it is good to see you again. Thank you for coming back.
Wish it could have been better circumstances. What are you? And then just like turns and like follows Serikali's gaze, and it's like very clear. Oh, I'm so sorry. We can't help here.
That is not your role. Serikali raises the flaming sword, and she says, Dorado the Adamant, please kneel.
I think she does. Just like no ifs, ands, or buts, just like does.
She places the sword first on one shoulder and then on the other, and then withdraws it. And she says, I was with the first commander of the Legion. And now I give my blessing to the last. And then she just nods and walks away.
Yeah, Dorado like hangs her head, camera sees in profile like one tear fall, and then just like wipes off her face, gets back up, and like doesn't look back at Serikali, just has to go to the point where she's supposed to meet back up with the refugees and the Legion.
Step 3, outcome. Based on what they've heard, each player decides whether they think the kingdom should survive. Decide as a player, not your character. Everyone votes simultaneously. Thumbs up if you think the kingdom should survive. Thumbs down if you think it should fall. Hand flat if you're neutral. If your character abandoned the kingdom, you must vote thumbs down. Add up the results. 1 each for thumbs up, -1 for thumbs down. Should we
Does
use...
dying count as abandoning?
No, I don't think it does. I think if your main character died, go ahead and promote your minor character.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
For this vote. Let's put emotes in general. Don't send them yet. We'll count down.
And this kingdom is the Legion, not the city.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
The city is thumbs down, to be clear.
Yeah. Does the Legion survive past this point?
Say what?
Is everyone ready?
Wait, were we in general or
General.
We're in general.
forced discussion?
Yeah.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1, go. That's 4 for yes, 1 thumbs down, because Serikali left. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But the result is positive, and the Legion survives. Gavin, do you want to take us out by describing Judet and the Legion leaving the city as this takes place?
Can I get one quick scene in before that?
Yeah, please.
We see Lance, as head of the city guard, is realizing that the city is falling and the Legion is falling apart. And sort of my vote to keep the Legion going is I think he abandons his duty as leader of the city guard. And I think him and the people he's been rolling with are like rolling through the city and trying to fight as many of these defenders of hope as possible. And he's just slowly doing the montage of like collecting all of the named characters in the city that are part of the Legion and being like, we got to get the fuck out of here.
Cool.
Damn.
Yeah, we see Kaio, we see Aoife, we see Nabane, we see Aisling, we see Gemma, we see Thar, Waloot. He's getting the gang back together.
I don't think Thar says yes to that.
Thar stays behind?
I don't think he would. Thar would be like, no, I was given a job to do.
Wasn't Thar's job with the refugees?
Yeah.
So he's coming with anyway, right?
I mean,
Judet and the refugees. Or sorry, not Judet.
Jasiko.
Lady Jasiko. Right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming.
Do we think...
Or are there refugees who decide to stay?
I mean, I don't even know if it's decide to stay, right? Like, they're going to leave. They're not... Do we think they're going to get every single one of them?
Almost definitely not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Thar at least would be like, at the news that Lance is walking away, even in the face of this, Thar would be like, Bossman gave me a job to do. I'll catch up. Totally. But job's not done.
The boss is dead. I'm your boss now. Come on, Thar.
No, I got stuff to do.
Well, good luck, little Lance.
My name's Thar.
Oof.
No, somebody's gotta slap Thar and tell him that he's no good dead.
I mean, I think that's what Lance does. I think Lance is trying to be like, bro, like the chain of command doesn't mean shit right now. Like, this is fucked. You're stronger than this. Sometimes running away is what you gotta do to keep everybody safe. No use fucking standing here and dying. What are you staying to defend?
Give me a discipline roll.
Fuck. What is his discipline?
Lance has
Lance's discipline
2d6 in discipline.
What's his stress? Can I push myself?
You have...
He is at 4
Yep.
out of 8.
Yep, I'm doing it.
This is risky standard.
Risky standard is great. Still pushing myself for 3 dice. Fuck. That's a 3,
Oof.
a 1, a
Are you
3.
kidding me?
Oh dear. Avray is back at
Are
it,
you
baby!
kidding me?
Bye, Thar.
Thar looks at you with contempt
Woo!
and says, my name is Thar, born of Draknor, and I was given a job to do. I am not throwing my life away, but I'll be damned if I'm going to walk away from these people who are counting on me to lead them right now.
What do you think I'm doing?
I see you running away.
I'm leading everybody away.
What I see is you leading away your friends. What, these people deserve to leave because you know their names? How many people did you walk past because they were a stranger to you? No, I've got things to do here.
You are so fucking dead.
I think Lance loses his cool here, and I think he gives Thar a black eye and then storms off.
No, Thar will resist that.
Okay. We're going to do a weird PvP thing here.
Yeah, but to be clear, like, you understand where he's coming from,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah,
Lance is not Kael.
yeah.
Should I give my cutscene?
Yeah, let's please wrap it up.
Okay. The sun is rising. This has been happening all night. Judet standing on the wall as the sun comes up. These 100 Mitzrayim soldiers lining up in an orderly fashion, thumping down these rolls of canvas, unrolling them with a swipe of their hands. Judet crackling melodiously as she stands up straight. You feel it in your chest at first before you actually hear it. This low, thrumming melody. Maybe legionnaires' swords rattle in their belts, spears shake on the rack as Judet builds up in tempo, getting louder and louder, resonating against the walls, out and into the city. Hundreds, thousands of these naked blades start hovering shakily up and out, making arches over her as she brings her hands together above her head. The melody getting higher and higher as she hasn't taken a breath. Like, she should have taken a breath by now. The blades angling down towards the walls in different directions. Her voice coming to a sudden shriek and beat of silence as the blades launch down into the outskirts of the city, impaling Never into the ground with divine precision. The gates burst open and the caravan rushes forward, trampling over Never as Judet pins them in place and makes space, parts the sea.
And they and the Legion leave this place behind, setting off through the cold into the east towards Skydagger. OATHSWORN is an actual play podcast created by
Devin Nelson,
Gavin Fregeau,
Kris Allison,
Matthew Guzdial,
and me, Brennan McLeod. All music for the show is created by Devin Nelson. Find it and more at devindecibel.bandcamp.com. Find a link to their music and any of the games that we have played in the podcast description. Follow us at OATHSWORN Pod on Twitter or OATHSWORN on co-host. If you like the show, please consider sharing it with a friend or leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Until next time.